Shalom, shalom. This is Sister Zion.
Sister Ripka.
And Sister Abigail.
And welcome again to The Rock. Okay, we're here to answer some questions. After our last live stream, we got a lot of inquiries on biblical marriage. And so we wanted to answer those questions for the people today. Just a few of them. And so one of the questions that we gotten was, what made us choose this form of biblical marriage? And so we're going to start off with my sisters here, and they're going to tell you why they chose biblical marriage, this form of biblical marriage, and why they choose this lifestyle. So we'll start off with Abigail.
I would say the thought came almost 20 years ago. And then as I studied the word and learned about Abraham and Jacob, I understood it more. And so when I met my master, that's what I wanted. I wanted a polygynous marriage because of how it forms the family. So that's what I was looking for.
Okay. And then Sister Rivka.
Okay. For me, when I came into the faith, of course, polygyny came up. And at that point, at the beginning, me personally, I was, kind of uncomfortable with it, which I believe a lot of women, coming from the world, were not used to polygyny. And so it just took a while for me to, I guess, come around to accepting polygyny, getting over, or kind of seeing what the root was of why I was uncomfortable with polygyny. So just seeking the Father and reading the Word and really knowing what polygyny was, I began to accept it. And at that point, it didn't matter to me if I was in a polygynous relationship or not. I didn't necessarily try to seek polygyny. I was really looking for a covering and looking for the right husband who follows Yeshua and was righteous, was living the word, walking in it, and I guess pretty much had the same mindset, so to speak, knowing that we should be, living set apart, knowing that we should be, growing our food and walking out in our faith. So I began to look for the right covering. And I found my master, and he just happened to be in a polygynous relationships. So I just accepted it. I accepted, that I was going to have sisters, already, and so that's just how I chose polygyny, so to speak.
Okay, good answer, sisters. Okay, and then for me, you all know for the longest time I didn't choose any of it. I just chose marriage. Because when I married my master, we were not under the understanding of what polygyny even was, or that a man can have multiple helpmeets. We didn't know anything about that at that time. So when I chose, or he chose me, however that was, how we chose each other at the time, I was just choosing a head, and then as time went on, that's when the Father did reveal, and we got more understanding of the scriptures and what marriage actually was, and that biblical marriage was not just, the way it was going on in society. It was also polygyny. It was also monogamy. They're both biblical marriage according to the Father. And so once I've learned about that, I've told y'all my testimony before, I just immediately, I left it in the Father's hand, knowing that, I was struggling with the idea initially, but I wanted to get it. And I had told the Father, and I just kept in prayer, and I said, Father, I will do this. If this is what your word says, whatever your word says, I will do, but just change my heart, because I don't know how to see it the way you designed it, to be done. I don't even know what this is, but so change my heart. And I didn't know when he was going to change my heart, it was going to come to this, but he did. He changed my heart, and before I knew it, I went from not wanting it to desiring it. I went from literally hating the idea to loving it and wanting it for the household and myself, because I saw the benefits. And before you know it, it's just, with that prayer and with that time, and really, I guess the Father may have been able to see that I was willing, I had a willing heart. And so, and now here I am today, and I have two sisters, and I mean, it's awesome. I love it, you know. So that's how we got there. This is how we got to where we are today. So the next question, we'll address another one. Another question is, people have been asking about, you know, how do you come together without jealousy and like unity? And so I'm gonna once again ask each sister, how can they testify? What do we do to keep unity amongst each other, to keep out jealousy, that allow us to work well together? Like, what do we do? What have we exercised around here? Abigail?
Okay, so before coming into polygyny, before I married my master, I understood that each woman that he marries, he has an individual relationship with that woman. So what he likes of Ribka, what he likes of Zion, and what he likes of me is going to be totally different. So there's no comparison there at all. And you know how our marriage is right now is exactly how I explain it. We have our individual relationship with our master. So some women may say, well, he may like her more because her skin tone. He may like her more because of her personality. He may like her more because of the way she cooked, you know, which is true. There's no reason for me to be jealous or envious of what you have, because I have something that's unique to me and you have something that's unique to you. And so it will actually be a quite boring life if we all did the same thing or looked exactly the same. And so for that, he might as well stay monogamous.
Right.
You know, so yeah, so I already had the mindset that each person or each wife that he takes will be an individual. It will be an individual relationship.
Okay, Ripka.
Well, some of the things that we do, we try to communicate as much as possible, and try to keep the lines of communication open, and try to respect each other as you know, as much as we can, and just try to keep the unity, and make sure that, you know, we're always trying to complete the task at hand, and that, you know, where there would be no competition, we may pick up the slack where someone else is not able to, you know, do something. Say we may split up task to do something, and
It's okay.
we may split up the task, but say, you know, someone's not able to get it done as fast, so if the other person's, you know, done, maybe, you know, we can help. And it's not a competition. Oh, well, you know, that's just only her job. We just try to keep focus of, okay, we need to complete this no matter what. And lines of communication, and I don't know, that's all I can come up with.
Listen.
Humor.
Humor.
The humor is pretty good here.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
there's a lot of humor.
Yes.
Okay, and like they both said, you know, we do whatever we can to keep the enemy out from bringing or up distractions. We all understand that we are different individual women. We look different. We bring different things to the table, but we know where it's directed at. It's not about us comparing what we have. It's about what we have and how we're going to use best what we have to give to our master. And we try to stay on task with that. And if we even sense any of us getting off task even a bit, you know, we come together, and once we're done with all our duties for that day, we'll come together and we'll talk about it. We'll literally discuss it, and we'll discuss, you know, how to stay on task, you know, with what we're doing, how to not allow the enemy to use different influences over us. We've been reading Dr. Gina Murray's The Them and Him. And so that has, you know, the reason I talk about it so much is because, I mean, there's so many things in that book that really shows you another way of looking at things than we've been taught in society. And it has opened up the door of communication. Because when we come together and, you know, when you don't have that icebreaker or something to open up that door of communication, it's really hard to talk about, you know, all the different things that we see or feel or think. But when we read the book, you know, we will read together, and then we start having discussions based on what we just read, and then the conversation goes from there. Before you know it, we've talked for 2 or 3 hours. But we are like, we feel strengthened afterwards. You know, we feel like we're on task now, and we understand more. And as Ripka was saying, although we communicate, but we don't separate our jobs so much so that it's this person's job to do this, and if they don't complete it, oh well. No, that's not our that's not how we do things. We all help with each other with each other's tasks, because we also have a family to raise. We have children, and we have to all be understanding to everything that's pulling, around us. If Ribka has a job that ends up taking 3 hours, then she may not be able to get to something else, and we go fill in, and we're not like, oh, it's her job. No, we're glad to do it. We're like, okay, let's get the task completed. Same with myself. I breastfeed still. I have a baby, and both mothers, take care of the babies, but they only can do so much. When it's time to feed the baby, they know she may have been in the middle of washing dishes, and this baby needs to be fed. They don't, without argue, they go and they wash the dishes. They don't complain. They get together and wash the dishes and get it done and say, you take care of that, And we were happy afterwards. We're not complaining, and our job is to get it complete. That's all we're concerned about. Let's get it done.
We're not easily offended.
We're not easily offended. Yes, that's another good one. We don't take to heart everything that someone says, and we actually come to each other and say, tell me where I'm falling short. Like, we'll literally express what's going on, and we ask and we confide in each other. And that has brought us closer, like really close in a short span of time. So anything else, ladies?
I would like to add in there maturity on the wives, on the women part. And then if you're obedient, then you know that you're not going to bring in anything that's going to tear down the household. You're going to be all about building it up. And part of building it up means you take a mature outlook on how the family is functioning. So just like what Zion said about the dishes, that's with all tasks in the household. Even when it comes down to, just personal time, you just have to be mature about it. You have to be obedient about it. What does the word of Yah says? It's not what you say. You don't lean on your own understanding when it comes to building up the house. You lean on Yah's words, because He will guide you. Can't fall short of that.
And lastly, I would like to add, and if you have something to add, please feel free. But lastly, I would like to add is, one thing that we try to remind ourselves, that we are possessions to our husbands. It's not the other way around. They're not here to serve us. But, as a wife, you become his possession. You're his helpmeet. And the scripture talks about that. I'm going to see if I have it in Ecclesiasticus 36:24 says, he that getteth a wife beginneth a possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest. And we literally try to live off that.
Yes.
Daily, we remind ourselves we're his possessions, and as possessions and as his helpmeets, how can we make things better? How can we bring strength to the home? We literally go to the word, and we try to remind ourselves, keep the focus on what we are. We are possessions. We are helpmeets. It's our house, our job to bring peace into the house. It's our house to care for the home, and that's what we care about. So we don't get off task, and as long as we don't get off task, we don't leave room for the enemy to come in to submit thoughts of jealousy, of envy, and we want for each other what we want for ourselves. So a lot of times, if anything, we're over here fighting for we're pushing the next sister, you spend time with our master. They're like, no, you spend time with our master. We trying to figure out, because we want everybody to be able to get that time. We care about those sort of things, and we're the first ones volunteering not to spend time, not because we don't care about him, but because we do, and because we want to be selfless in the way we do things. So it's if someone, whose turn is it? Well, it's yours. No, it's yours. We just want to make sure that we are bringing each other up, lifting each other up, making sure that all of us can have quality time. We just care about each other's emotions and what we're going through at the time. So we take the time to listen, and we take the time to build up. Anything else y'all want to say to this before we end this video?
Not at this moment. I think we said quite a bit already.
Okay.
I don't think so. Unless you have another scripture about that pertains to giving our husband or giving our master rest.
Yes.
Because if we bring any strife, bring any grief to him, then we're not protecting his heart.
Oh, yes. And that'll be another one that we can discuss maybe at a later time of, protecting his heart. So with that, we'll close this video at this time, and we'll see you all in the next video. Stay productive. Shalom.
Shalom.